Hi guys, welcome to my vlog. I am Arvin J. A. Alfonso and I am a grade 12 student under the Humanities and Social Sciences strand. And today we are going to tackle about photosynthesis and its two sets of reaction, the light-dependent reactions and the Calvin cycle. But first, let me explain what is photosynthesis. Let's go! So, photosynthesis is the process by which plants use sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to create oxygen and energy in the form of sugar. Light is used by plants during photosynthesis to create organic molecules, particularly sugars. Since these chemical components form the basis of almost all life on Earth, including ourselves and our food, this is incredibly significant. How then this procedure work? To put it briefly, light energy is absorbed by leaves and used to power a sequence of chemical reactions that result in the formation of sugars and other organic compounds. In all, the plant absorbs carbon dioxide and water, which it uses to produce glucose and oxygen gas. So, photosynthesis is divided into two sets of reactions. But first, let's start with the light-dependent reaction. As one might expect, light is necessary for the light-dependent process to occur. Let's zoom in on a leaf to observe them in action in order to better grasp how they function. Plant cells which make up leaves contain unique organelles called chloroplasts that carry out photosynthesis. Thylakoids, which are many discs with pigments that absorb light such as chlorophyll, are found on each chloroplast. Consider the thylakoid as the chloroplast's solar panels. They take in the sun's light energy. Let's now concentrate on the thylakoid membrane by zooming the thylakoid. This is the area where light is absorbed and pigments like chlorophyll can be found. Photosystems are the groups of pigments that are grouped in this way. First, let's discuss photosystem 2. Light is absorbed by photosystem 2, which causes the electrons in chlorophyll to get excited or gain energy. After leaving chlorophyll by these energized electrons, they go along to an electron transport chain. However, chlorophyll needs new electrons because it lost some of its own. Water splits, sending its electrons to chlorophyll to replenish them. Oxygen, hydrogen ions, and electrons are created when water splits. You certainly are aware that photosynthesis is how plants produce oxygen. This is the source of the oxygen. Let's go back to the electron transport chain. The electron transport chain is responsible for moving electrons. Using the energy from the electrons, hydrogen ions, also known as protons, are pumped through the thylakoid membrane and into the thylakoid throughout this process. This becomes highly concentrated in hydrogen ions as a result inside the thylakoid. Instead of being locked inside the thylakoid, these ions are able to passively migrate from high to low concentration thanks to an enzyme called ATP synthase. Similar to how water running through a turbine at a hydroelectric dam generates power, this influx of hydrogen ions via ATP synthase causes the enzyme to spin and produce ATP. One important key product of the light-dependent reactions is the ATP. The electrons travel to photosystem 1, where light excites them once more. After they have completed their first electron transport chain, they proceed via a second, shorter electron transport chain and are taken up by NADP plus molecule. It becomes NADPH when it takes up the electrons and hydrogen. Another important key product of the light-dependent process is NADPH, an electron carrier. It transports hydrogen and electrons to the Calvin cycle, the following series of reactions in photosynthesis. Following the light-dependent reactions in photosynthesis, it is the second series of reactions known as the Calvin cycle. Since light is not strictly necessary for the Calvin cycle to occur, it is also referred to as the light-independent reactions or even the dark reactions. Nevertheless, ATP and NADPH, the two essential byproducts of the light reactions, are required for the Calvin cycle to function. As you may remember, the light processes at the thylakoids produce the ATP and NADPH. The stroma, the fluid that surrounds the thylakoids, is where the Calvin cycle occurs. In the Calvin cycle, reducing carbon dioxide to create sugars requires the energy of the ATP and the electrons and hydrogens of NADPH. The process is as follows. Phase 1 is the carbon fixation. An enzyme known as ribisco adds carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to a 5-carbon molecule known as RUBP. We refer to this as carbon fixing. This forms a complex with 6 carbons, which instantly divides in half to produce 2 molecules of 3-phosphoglycerate. Observe that we fixed 3 carbon dioxide molecules using carbon fixation. You'll quickly discover why. The phase 2 is the reduction. The energy needed to create an intermediate molecule during the reduction phase comes from ATP produced during light reactions. After that, this reactive intermediate can either gain hydrogen and electrons or be reduced. Glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate or G3P for short is produced by reducing the intermediate molecule with the help of electrons and hydrogen from NADPH. The essential Calvin cycle product that might be utilized to produce sugar is G3P. Observe that there is a net gain of 1 G3P for every 3 molecules of carbon dioxide that are added to the Calvin cycle. It makes sense, right? 3 carbons in and 3 carbons out. The last phase of the Calvin cycle is the phase 3, which is the regeneration. Observe that in our model, there are still 5 G3Ps in the cycle, while only 1 is eliminated. These 5 G3P molecules are changed back into RUBP, our original compound. Recall that the Calvin cycle is a cycle, and in order to maintain this, we must recreate our original compound. I'll give you a moment to calculate this. If there are 5 G3P molecules and 3 carbons in each, how many carbon atoms are there overall? Now that you already know the answer, how many 5-carbon RUBP molecules can we create with those carbon atoms? You must have realized that we can produce 3 RUBP molecules. It takes energy to accomplish this. Can you surmise the source of that energy? If you said ATP, you are right. Okay, let's observe. After completing the Calvin cycle for 3 carbon atoms, let's repeat the procedure to produce glucose. Recall that 1 glucose molecule with 6 carbons is made by using 6 carbon dioxide in our entire photosynthesis equation. In light of this, how many G3Ps are required to produce a single glucose? You're right if you said 2. You've now seen how the Calvin cycle produces glucose and how the light-dependent process or reactions supply the ATP and NADPH required for the Calvin cycle to function. The process or reactions of photosynthesis produce glucose and other organic compounds, which are what enable plants and algae to develop and sustain almost all life on Earth, including me, you, us. I hope you have learned something from this video, guys, about the light-dependent reactions and the Calvin cycle in photosynthesis. That's all for this video. Bye, guys!